to the marina hole. It's down basically straight ahead around the corner here is the old entrance to the hole.
Right.
But, which they filled it, 3 weeks ago was it now? Oh man, a lot of that would have been out of focus unfortunately. While I was pulling it out of the bag I had knocked it onto manual focus. I'm sorry about that, we'll catch it on the way out again though. This is Stony Creek.
That's the slump, eh?
Yeah, straight ahead of us now is the slump that they built before draining the hole that you were able to see from the aerial shots. And as you'll go down here, you'll see how the creek is beginning to be totally blocked off.
Completely blocked off.
Neutral if you like. The kill switch on if you want, just on the front there. See, all this clearing on the south side has happened in the last week.
Make sure you get plenty of that, mate.
Yeah, panning totally. Right. Do you want to talk on what you're seeing to the south side?
Alright, we're looking across now what is really a completely cleared area, looking south-east, west, southwest, down Stony Creek to the side. There are no mangroves, they've all been cleared except for the small growth along shore. And if we look out down this way, we're now looking to the northwest, and there's Stony Creek is almost completely covered except for about 10 feet where the high tide is breaking through. Other than that, it's complete devastation. And if this creek was to flood, all this would be coming straight down here, straight out of the creek.
Are there any plans for where this water is to go?
There are no plans for where this water is to go at all. This water will take all the mud straight out of the creek. This creek will be cut off and it won't be here anymore. It'll be completely destroyed.
And where will the water then end up? It's coming down from the mountains behind.
The water will end up off the coast here over the seagrass beds where there'll be enormous sedimentation from all this mud and turbidity over all the seagrass, straight out into the World Heritage Area. You can see here on the side where the mud is slumping with a crack along the bank. So it's undermining underneath here already on this bund wall. There's a slump here almost ready to fall into the creek. So the whole thing is totally unstable. All this wall along this side is unstable, and that crack is another indication of what happened up here further down with the bund wall. And here we have an Aboriginal coming in his canoe. How you going, mate? That's the bund. That's just left, you see? Yeah, it has.
Once again looking at down southwest along Stony Creek. As you can see, the creek has just been totally and utterly destroyed. It's got massive amounts of erosion on all banks. As you can see on the southern side, the mangroves have been just clear felled willy-nilly. allowing these banks to just be incredibly unstable. I'm standing on a man-made mound which has diverted the creek from its normal course on the actual Oyster Point site development, virtually right in the centre of it. I'm now panning towards the north and northwest and to the marina hole, which they have recently pumped out, and will be continuing excavating and dumping this mud on site, which will filter down across with rains across the creek, across the front bank once they remove the mangroves, and onto the very precious World Heritage areas directly off Oyster Point. As you can probably see, the banks are just totally collapsing all the way along. I'm going to walk over and see if I can get a better shot in the hole. We're presently on the actual development site. This is actually the site that is presently owned by the developer. We have not yet been on site with camera. Before, it appears today they have halted work. As you can see, this hole was dug. This was all mangrove originally. This hole has been totally dug out man by man. Total utter devastation. Utter. He'll be digging this deeper and deeper and making this the marina. As you can see, this is land. This is not the place for a marina. And we look out towards the northeast, towards straight down the roadway towards Oyster Point, over to where we've been doing most of our filming, over there to the older growth mangroves that are still remaining along the foreshores, the northeastern foreshores. Most of our work has been carried out over on that site. Our camp is basically straight ahead over there, but it moves daily, depending on where work is being carried out. As you can see, this whole land has just, which was pristine mangroves, has just totally been wiped out. And we look at it in the background there is Hinchinbrook Island, which is World Heritage listed. And Senator Faulkner must take notice of this issue. That these grounds that are here right next to World Heritage grounds are obviously and quite clearly unstable and are going to filter a lot of siltation towards the World Heritage areas. As you can see, this place has just been totally and utterly destroyed. On the southern bank, many mangroves still exist, which we will preserve. And on the northern bank, there are still a few which we will hold along the marine park's land. Start to move off this land now. how can you just remove a creek? We are in North Queensland wet tropics, monsoonal times. Every year, the water that comes down here during the wet season, where is that water going to go? Can someone answer that? Now there's panning anti-clockwise towards the west, back down Stony Creek, towards the south bank again. Down Stony Creek, which will not exist in the future unless we can put a halt to this development. We are now in a dinghy on Sunday morning on Stony Creek again. We're now heading back out of Stony Creek and looking at the northern wall of the creek. And it must be clearly visible, just the massive amount of erosion that is occurring here.
Turn around and face that way. Show that wall on the left.
Oh, we are now
Profile up the creek.
we're now going straight up the creek and the wall on the left.
You can see how the wall's moved out into the creek. It's again slumped because it's mangrove mud. The difference in the two banks is very obvious. On our right, we're now focusing on where the Bundball Road hits Stony Creek and where the creek will be blocked off and then this area dredged to provide an access channel.
As you can see on the southern shore where mangroves still line the creek, the bank is stable. And while we look to the northern shore of the creek, we just see massive erosion and man-made mud from the mangroves just washing away into this creek, and with every tide, every day, this mud is washed out into the World Heritage waters of Hinchinbrook Island and the Hinchinbrook Channel. A very vast comparison. Southern bank, northern bank. The southern bank can still virtually be saved if we can act quickly. Northern bank, southern bank, looking northeast down Stony Creek as it enters the as it comes out into World Heritage waters. Well, this bank here has been just mud sludged up from the clearing of the mangroves and dumped here in order to divert the creek and to build up the creek and eventually block the creek. going, I can hear many birds in these mangroves here, nests of many types that will all be gone unless we can stop this almost immediately. Straight off here the other day we watched dolphins. We weren't able to get them on film, unfortunately. And that is Hinchinbrook Island. Oh, yes. Maybe we got it, maybe we didn't. It's difficult to see, but there is a hawk there. This bushland here is full of hawks, full of eagles. All the nests are in here.
Standing on the land after having stood in the mud at Oyster Point. A brave man, a great warrior. And he's moving aside there. Thinking this is just all amusing, I'll now take a shot of his beautiful feet, which are covered in genuine Oyster Point mud,
which we are saving.
Hooray!
Hey!
How's that?
Beautiful.
It's still going.
Oh, well, you just pushed the button, red button again. Once again at Oyster Point on Sunday. All has been quiet basically all morning. Some work is being carried out on the other side of the site, but the conservationists are continuing to hold a visual on the site, in the mangroves and the trees. They're here every day and will be until Senator Faulkner steps into this issue and saves these marvellous mangroves in the marine park. As you can see straight down there, there's been cleared areas. You can see destruction. As you look into the background, you'll see old growth mangroves which are planned to be removed, which we are saving. Every day we are here, we are saving those. Oyster Point. This is the area that he has recently cleared. This is his private land. As you can see, it stretches for miles. Miles and miles of absolute devastation. Looking out to Hinchinbrook Island and the World Heritage Area. Might walk over and see if I can see anything in the pit. This is such a huge area of just massive devastation. Silt from all of this has to end up in the World Heritage waters of Hinchinbrook, and we are here to save the wet lands between this private land and Marine Park's land. We are saving in order to site manager was here. He keeps checking us out from time to time. But generally very little occurring. A lot of wind today, but there are massive amounts of bird life in these trees. As they remove more and more of the trees, they seem to gather in the few trees that are left. There's a fantastic nest down there in that tree. I wish you could see it. I wish we could get closer to show you. It's got eggs in it. These are the mangroves which we are saving day by day. The southern bank, which we will move to and defend, has not yet been attacked, and we will save that as well. This area is under constant attack by the excavators whenever they see we are not on site. So we are keeping a constant vigil over these marine park mangroves. These mangroves are marine park, and marine parks have issued a permit allowing Keith Williams to destroy a marine park. This is what we save day by day. This area here, as you can see, has been attacked by the excavator already. We were unable to save this little bit. It is on his land, thus we cannot touch it, but as you can see, the heavy rains last night and the tide that came in last night, the big tide, have flattened out most of the tracks, etc., and washed a lot of leaf litter and silt out through the mangroves and out onto the seabed grasses in the World Heritage Area. A little bit further up the beach of Oyster Point, towards halfway up towards Oyster Point from Cardwell, looking towards Oyster Point up there through that tree, up towards Oyster Point. This area here he got to before we could get through. You see how he's punched through right to the water there at one's point before we were able to stop him. And that's what he plans to do with the whole rest of this site. I hope you can hear the bird life. It's just amazing. This was, up until a week ago, mangrove. The whole time Keith Williams said that he had halted work on this site, he was in here removing mangroves from this area, as you have seen on previous videotapes. We're now still on Oyster Point, looking out towards Hinchinbrook Island, and as you can see, a distinct line of absolute mass devastation, clear felling of all mangrove right to the water's edge, and a clear line where we were able to reach him and stop him from this absolute sheer destruction of marine park land, which he has a permit to destroy. Straight out, all that, straight out into Hinchinbrook Island and the World Heritage Areas. And as you can see, as you move back from that area, as I pan back, these are the trees which we have saved and are continuing to save as a barrier to prevent the World Heritage Area getting damaged. You can see it's just piles of mangroves, roots just ripped up, just left to be washed out by the tide. silt to just be washed out by the tide. As the tide goes out, there's a filthy slick left in the water as it goes out. There's piles and piles of just devastation, just mangroves ripped apart. Once again you see just a massive devastation, the absolute just destruction of mangroves along the shoreline. And as we pan, you'll start to see what we are saving. We have saved. Every minute we are here, we are preventing him from accessing the marine park's land and destroying these mangroves. And we will continue to be here until a halt is called to the destruction of these mangroves. Straight out to World Heritage Area, Hinchinbrook Island, off Oyster Point, far north Queensland. I'm now standing up on Oyster Point looking towards the end of Oyster Point. As you see, once again, just absolute clear felling, destruction right to the water's edge. And as you can see, these mangroves here at this point have been cleared. As we pan up the beach and find the actual high tide line, you'll see the massive erosion which has already begun to occur along the shoreline. Now where is this eroded material going to? It must be leading out of this site to another area which is being washed off this site and into World Heritage areas. You can see erosion occurring right now. Over the last 5 days of videotaping, I'm sure anyone could see it. And you can't look at that and say that that will not wash out on the tide. But we are preventing any more of this from occurring. Sunday, normally a work day for this development site. All is quiet. So we have definitely achieved, at present, are achieving our goals. And we'll continue to achieve them because we will not leave this site indefinitely. You can see up there's a pile of logs which are chained together. These logs, we're not sure what they're planning to use them for yet, but they are typical of the type of log system used in order for large machinery to get over mud and swampland or a higher tide line than they're presently able to do because of our obstruction of their clearing of the mangrove. Our conservation efforts are saving these mangroves down here, you see, from miles and miles of mangroves down there from this type of destruction. This is the destruction which will occur for miles and miles of this Oyster Point coastline. Mangroves. He's come in here while he was stating that work had been halted. He came in here and did this. You can see this mangroves that's piled up on the shoreline. You can see the soil badly damaged. Any rains like we had last night, high tides, will wash the soil straight out, and that mud straight out into the World Heritage areas of Hinchinbrook Island and the channel down here. causing massive, massive destruction to the ecology of this area. As you can see on this sign, might be hard for you to read, I'll read it for you in a minute. It's at the base of this tree, which is right at the top point of Oyster Point. We're standing on this. That is the grave of a dog, Maxie. That tree will remain here, unlike all the other mangroves behind it. Amazing that I own 3 dogs, I love dogs, but the grave of a dog is more important than thousands and thousands and thousands of meters of just pristine mangroves which have now been just totally destroyed. Looking over the site, this is standing at the tree on Oyster Point, looking south over Stony Creek, which, as we saw this morning, is an absolute mess. All this to the southern side will be cleared if we cannot prevent this. We will prevent it. But on Sunday, basically, all is quiet. Tide is down, a perfect time for him to be working on these mangroves, so there's no doubt that we have halted his work on the waterfront at this site. We have conserved the mangroves, and in doing so have conserved the World Heritage areas of Hinchinbrook Island. The state government and the Commonwealth government have failed to do this and must answer for it. And in their failure to do it, we have taken our own action and are protecting World Heritage areas on behalf of all of mankind. Yes, that sign signifies the grave of Maxie the dog. A good and faithful 18-year-old dog. Total utter devastation. Here we have the entrance to Stony Creek, or 1 Mile Creek, which we entered this morning. This is now low tide. As you can see, there's a very delicate mud bank system, which has got to go somewhere when they divert this creek.